Hey everyone, it's Erin Flutter here, and I am here to review the Tombow Fudenosuke Color Hard Tip Brush Pens. So if you have seen my live on this, it's going to be a lot of the same information, but I'm going to expand on it just a little bit more because I am going to compare these feuds to the Pentel Sign Touch Pen, and then the colors to what seemed to be their equivalent for the Tombow Dual Brush Pens. I am missing a couple colors here from the Pentel Sign Pens. I'm missing two colors, and the black one I'm obviously missing, and I can't remember what the other color is, so maybe while I'm comparing, I'll try to remember. But I am missing a couple colors here, so I'm going to do my best to compare the two and then just give an overall review of these colors. So I'm just gonna open it on up. So just going to read the back really quick. These are hard tip brush pens, so that means that they have a flexible brush tip that allows easy transition from thick to thin lines by changing pen pressure. Great for beginner brush calligraphy and hand lettering. I do agree with that. Whenever I recommend brush pens to beginners, I often point to the Feud hard tip because it doesn't move as much, and so it really lets you train your hand into the types of pressures that you need to create the thin upstrokes and the thick downstrokes. So I do agree with that statement, by the way. Rich, vibrant colors that won't bleed through most papers. And if you saw my live, you know that I don't really think that these are vibrant colors, but we'll get into that. Used for lettering, modern calligraphy, drawing, sketching, and journaling. Again, great for bullet journaling. These don't bleed through a lot of bullet journals, and I know that from experience. Not water-based pigment ink, non-refillable, and it just shows you the type of stroke that you can get over here with a flexible brush tip. So I'm gonna get into it a little bit. So I'm just going to swatch these out on this Rhodia dot pad really quick, and then swatch out the touch pens right next to it, and then kind of go a little bit more in depth into what these are like versus these. Alright, so here are the swatches between the Tombow and the Pentel. I grabbed the regular sign pen that isn't a brush tip so that you could see at least the color difference for the black. But the rest of them were the touch. And they're weird because the Pentel, the sign pen, it's called the same thing. It's these glitter ones with the brush or the flexible tip that are similar to these Tombows. So I'm just gonna give my general thoughts. The Pentel Sign Pens, and I've had these for a while. I've probably had these for like over a year. Are juicier and they're more vibrant. There are a couple colors where like you can, you know, make a case for the other one being more vibrant, such as the yellow. I personally like the Pentel yellow better than the Tombow yellow, but you can make a case for it. But overall, the Pentel Sign Pens are significantly more vibrant, I would say. I mean, you can see it in the reds, the greens, the oranges. I mean, you definitely can tell that the Tombows are a more muted color. So as far as the packaging saying that they're vibrant, I don't necessarily agree, especially because when I'm going to compare them to the dual brush pens in a second, you'll see that they aren't as vibrant as their brush pen counterparts. I don't know what the technical counterparts are because these don't have like color associations with it. They just say purple, purple and blue. So versus the Tombow Dual Brush Pens that have a lot of different shades of those. So these are, I'm going to assume these are like the primary pack. So I'm going to try to pull ones that are as close to the tip as I can and look at those. Overall, I also think that these are definitely a harder tip than the Pentel Sign Pens. If you are a beginner, I really strongly recommend a harder tip because it can be difficult to control a Pentel Sign Pen. If you're new, it's very much the same as the soft tip for the Fudenosuke. Maybe even a little bit softer that you can manipulate it more. And I have to be honest, some of these colors felt more like a soft tip than a hard tip. Like the black, for example, definitely felt more like a soft tip than it does a hard tip that comes in their regular pack. And I'll compare that too. It's hard to compare. It's really just once you get the pen on the paper, it's a little bit easier to compare. So it's kind of hard to let you know and show you the tip strength because it really is how your hand manipulates it. But just in general, I would say that the Tombow definitely has a harder tip. It is not as vibrant. It is easier to control because of that harder tip. So I am going to go ahead and compare them to their dual brush pen counterparts and see you on the other side to compare those as well. Okay, so these are comparing the Fud and the dual brush pen. You can really tell when I swatch out from the larger tip that these dual brush pens are definitely more vibrant. Particularly, you can see it in the red, The yellow was a weird situation because the cap doesn't really match the yellow. So I pulled out two different yellows, one that matched the cap a little bit closer, and then the one that matched the actual color. Because I noticed that while I was doing the actual swatches during my Instagram live feed, that the yellow is really the only one that doesn't really match its cap color. So just that side notes. The green is pretty good when you're comparing the Tombow and the Feud. The blue is just so much more vibrant. And then when I was putting the purple down, I thought that they were the most similar. And then when this dual brush pen dried up, it just really got more vibrant. The pink, again, just overall, the dual brush pen has been more vibrant than the Feud. And I'll go ahead and put all of these color numbers down. I just want to also do a side note. The orange, I feel like there is another orange that might be closer, but again, with the cap, this one was just so much closer, but it's like more of a corally orange. So maybe I'll swatch this one out too. Yeah, this one's a little bit closer. So this is the same situation as the yellow. The cap color looks more like the darker, but the 055 is more in line with the actual ink color. And then same with this one. The 905 looks more like the cap color, but 925 looks more like the orange from the ink. So that's that comparison, and now I'm gonna just try to get some close-up shots of me manipulating the actual tips so that you can see how these are really good for beginners, basically, and how the tip works when it comes to the flexibility compared to the touch pen. And then I'm gonna compare this hard tip with the hard tip that I usually use. So I just want to pause here and show you how when you hold it flat like this is really how you can tell the flexibility. If I hold it flat like this, it's more of an oval versus this sign pen, which if you go flat, it becomes more circular. So it really goes to show what type of shape you're getting from it, and that really attests to the flexibility of the nib. This is more of a hard tip because when you're going down, it doesn't like balloon out, versus the Sign Touch Pen, when you go down, you can see more of a fatter edge, and that's because it's more flexible, so you're getting more of the base of the tip. So this is a hard tip from just one of their old harder tips. So I'm going to compare this to the hard tip of the one that came in the color pack. It really, maybe it's just because it's newer. I don't really know, because this one should feel softer but just in my experience, this one felt harder than this one. So I just kind of want to do this kind of test to see if I see the same thing. So this is the one from one of the older ones, and now I'm going to do the one from the kit. Okay, so it does look slightly wider. It's hard to tell. It's a very small difference. It's just because I've been using brush pens for a while that I even noticed the difference. So, but it does seem a little bit more flexible, but I don't know. Because the one I've been using for a while should feel more flexible than the one that I just got a couple weeks ago. So maybe it's just a difference in manufacturing. I don't really know. So after all of this, what are my thoughts? My thoughts are that the Pentels are not as beginner friendly. They require a little bit more muscle memory in your hand to be able to manipulate the softer tip of said brush pen. The Pentels are more vibrant than the Tombow Fudenosuke pens. The dual brush pen equivalent is more vibrant than these Fudenosuke brush pens. The fact that they only have the color red, I mean, I guess it says BH25, so maybe they might come out with some more. I'm hoping so. I didn't notice that the first time around when I did my live that they have this 25, 28. So maybe they will come out with some more. I kind of hope so. I would like to see something outside of the primary family. I don't like to use a lot of primary stuff when it comes to like my bullet journal. It's just not my thing. So I'd like to see some more pastels and jewel tones and things like that. So I'm hoping that they do that because I do really like how these Tombow pens write. I didn't do this earlier, but you can see just the ghosting level. It's pretty much the same. When I did a pen test in my Scribbles That Matter, I found that the Tombows were better. And you can see it in some of these colors, like the reds in particular. You can see the level of ghosting on the Tombow versus the Pentel. And I don't know if that's because the pens were overall just juicier coming out, but it also could just be the vibrancy of it. I also want you to note the feathering. It's not really feathering, but you can see that the outside lines of these Tombows are much more crisp than the outside lines of the Pentel. And I was putting pretty similar amounts of pressure on both. And it was only some of the Pentel pens, but all of the Tombow pens did really well except for this black one. And I don't know if that's because I've used it quite a bit since I've gotten them. But the overall, the Tombows, their lines are a bit more crisp than the Pentels. If you have Tombow Dual Brush Pens and you want to know the quote-unquote equivalent, these are the ones that I found are probably the more equivalent ones: M15, M55, 856, 925, 055, 195, 555, 606, 743, and 879. Those are the ones that I found were a bit closer to the Feud. In terms of the vibrancy, like I said, the dual brush pen is more vibrant for that. And then just a side note, a lot of people always ask me on my Instagram videos or my YouTube videos, like, how did I learn this? And I want to just tell you that I learned lettering almost entirely self-taught, watching YouTube videos and printing out practice sheets and doing drills like this. There is an account on Instagram at the Happily Ever Crafter, which I'll put in the description below, who does great job, an amazing job with these types of drills, and she often does these like enrollment periods where you can enroll and get like these free sheets. She also has like booklets of drills that you can get also. I'm not quite sure the status right now, but I'll try to find that information and put it in the description below if you want to learn lettering. So overall, would I get these? Yes. is pretty much the simple answer. I bought the VIP pack just so that I could get these, because I was really excited about it. Because sometimes when I'm bullet journaling, especially for like my day headers or things like that, I don't want to use a dual brush pen. I would much rather use a smaller tip to get that. And sometimes I want those in colors. So the fact that these are primary colors means that I may not use them as much. And I really do hope they come out with, in particular, pastels, because you guys know me and my pastels. But I really hope they come out with more colors. So these are bullet journal friendly. I don't know if I have it in this one or if I have it in my other one. And if you didn't see me do that review, which one? It's these right here. This blue through pink. It's normal level of ghosting, just like all my brush pens. And you guys who know this channel know that I use brush pens a lot in my spreads. It's just minor ghosting, and that's in the Scribbles That Matter, which has 100 GSM paper. And something like the LT 1917, it's going to ghost even a bit more, because I believe it's either 70 or 90 GSM. I think maybe 90 GSM paper, so it's just a touch thinner and will ghost through just a touch more. So I hope you guys like this video. It's really just like my overall thoughts and going through the motions and testing them against their like quote unquote rivals or the equivalent in another brand. Or even the equivalent in their own brand. So I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys like seeing new pens, because new pens are my favorite thing. And one day I'll go through and show you how I store all my pens, because you guys know that I have so many. So I'll do kind of a storage video coming up here at some point. And then next week I am going to do 10 types of expense trackers, so that will be next Friday, so keep an eye out for that. And thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you guys have a lovely weekend, or if you're watching this during the week, make it through to the weekend, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Bye everyone.